Hello? Yes, I'm here to audition for the role in Iceborne.
Oh, yes, hello, Mr. Rajingle, is it?
It's Rajang, actually.
Oh, okay, well, hello, Mr. Roggendas.
Yeah.
So one thing, real quick, we are looking for someone who can improvise.
Okay, yeah, I can try that.
Alright, so just chomp down on this weird blue, slightly electrified carrot and say whatever comes to mind.
Have a break, have a kid.
No, nothing copyright infringing, please.
You're not you when you're hungry.
Honey, sir, please just...
Gobble the horse.
Gobble the horse? Gobble the horse? That's it! That's the one! You're hired! Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, it is that most wonderful time of year when DLC starts rolling around. And our first Iceborne DLC is one hell of a doozy. The bountifully bodacious baboon himself, Rajang. I don't know how you guys feel about the first fanged beast to make it to the new world, but in my opinion, the parts of him that were brought from the old world are fantastic. The parts of him added in the new world are awesome. And in fact, the way that he properly interacts with everything around him, whether that be the environment itself or the other monsters within them. So today is all about this big beefhead's interactions, the unique mechanics, and the turf wars. Fuck yeah! Starting off then with the item brutally clear as day on your screen, the Rajang hammer. I just wanted to point it out, okay? I love it. It's basically made of his skin and hair, and it's just a little tiny pinball version of him on a stick, and it has physics while it bobs around him. When you charge the hammer, it goes fucking furious mode and lights up and just yes, just so much yes, a significant amount of yes. However, I realize that hammers don't apply to everyone, as some people don't like fun. So let's move quickly to the real stars of the show, I guess, the turf wars. First up, in the one you are probably most likely to see during your first Rajang quest, Rajang versus Rathalos, though I am showing young Garuga here because to me that is far more impressive. And this animation seems to be the same among all mid-tier wyverns that fly. I say wyverns that fly instead of flying wyverns because for some ungodly reason, even Coral Pookie can have this turf war. It's his only one, and he gets the absolute crap beat out of him.
It's okay to feel sad sometimes.
This bulky banana eater grabs the wyvern's tail mid-air and slams it down on the floor not just once, but twice. Like, honestly, I'd make a big deal about the raw strength required to do this, but I'll start sounding like a broken record really fast. After all, this is Rajang, and generally speaking, his turf wars are just built to show off how much of a goddamn muscly badass he is. Next up, Rajang has a lovely little turf war with Savage Devil Joe. It's the same turf war that Nergigante has with Savage Joe, at least for the most part. The animation's like a touch different at the very beginning, and my feelings on this have already been covered on the channel, but here is the turf war again so you can see it. Followed by Rajang's turf war with Kieran, which has also been covered here, so I won't go into a massive amount of detail, but the lore detail in this and the cinematicness of it just cannot be understated. Rajang also has turf wars with every elder dragon that can be in the Guiding Lands, in which he does share some animations, but in small clumps rather than just one overall. So first of these is just general flying elder dragon. This one applies to Kashala, Deora, Namiel, and Volcanic. They fly up and try to get an aerial strike down on him, only to get grabbed like hell and body slammed to the floor. Again, strength, so much damn strength. This is totally badass. It makes me feel a little bit better about getting my face smashed to the ground when he pins me.
Oh, I made myself sad.
Rajang has a similar but still different turf war with Teostra and Lunastra, who share the same animation with each other. But the differences that make this one special are totally worth every moment of it. Check this thing out. This muzzly motherfucker here tanks a point-blank fire breath, showing off his significant fire resistance, which is, of course, an actual thing about Rajang, and then he slams them down into the floor, asserting his dominance again. Still banged up from the fire, of course, but taking that attack at that range would just about kill a lesser monster, and Rajang, being the crazy aggressive dude that he is, just stands there, takes it straight up, and smashes the way only two people could. Rajang, and no, not the big green guy, still Rajang. They're both Rajang.
That's the joke.
And last up on the list comes Rajang versus the final unlockable monster of Iceborne, the technical final boss, Nergigante. And I'll totally shut up to let you watch this one in peace. So Rajang dodges a paw swipe to mount Nergi's head. Nergi slams the big guy down on the floor, Rajang enrages and pulls out a straight up Shoryuken, then just gets bitch slapped to the side by Nergigante himself. In other words, fuck yes. Now a thing I think that is really important and cool to mention here is the reason Rajang even has a chance in this turf war is because of his speed and agility, really giving Nergigante a run for his money and even nailing a pretty impressive blow of his own. But all it takes is a single arm slap to send him flying to the side and oh god, it's just so cool. But we need to talk quickly about the lore implications of this. I've seen tons of people saying, wow, if Rajang can tie with Runer, then surely if Furious Rajang comes to the New World, he'll just kill everything. And well, yeah, maybe that'll happen, it's possible. But you can't read the turf wars in black and white like that. There is so much more context to consider. Think about the amount of physical exertion these monsters just did. At the end of the day, Runer Nergigante put in a similar amount of effort to what I do when I go outside to check the mail. Just a walk in the park for him. But Rajang's fucking flying around the place, doing lightning uppercuts and enraging to have any chance. And not to mention the health difference and the fact that Nergi regens and yada yada yada. What I'm saying is while this is incredibly impressive and we shouldn't take anything away from Rajang for how much he actually does, we all really need to understand the context of a monster matchup before we start touting a turf war as definitive proof that one monster would destroy another, except Kieran. Rajang definitely fucks up Kieran. When it comes to the turf wars as a whole, he has some similar interactions to what Nergigante has with other monsters, which makes a ton of sense. Two incredibly strong, aggressive, powerful, and territorial monsters who use their arms as their main source of dealing damage to their prey, and some of these are just incredibly neat. Moving on to just unique mechanics and interactions in the fight then, first and foremost is how Rajang works differently with the Clutch Claw than most monsters in a couple of ways. First up is the fact that you can just straight up not attach to his face. It is unattachable, there is no grappling point on his head, and it is unwoundable as a result. However, you can still flint shot him into walls and turn him with claw attacks if you attach to his forearms instead of the face, which I choose to not question in any way, shape, or form.
I have no idea!
Rajang also has the ability to straight up grab you off of him during a clutch claw attach and throw you off, initiating his pin attack where he just picks you up and throws you again, sort of like a child who is unsure if you are the toy he wants to play with or not. This seems to just happen if you go on at the wrong moment. It's just a thing he can choose to do if he's not attacking at that point in time, and it makes so much sense that a fanged beast of all things, the monster with the longest and most maneuverable arms in comparison to the size of his body, is capable of doing this. I've always wished to a certain extent that monsters would do this properly, and seeing it happen with Rajang of all things is just the bee's knees, or like the monkey's funkies. That made no sense. Next up is just a really neat, unique, context-sensitive animation. Sometimes after you've hit him enough and he is near a wall, Rajang will reach out and lean against the wall like he's all tired, only to slam his fist down at you faster than a speeding bullet. That's right, he tries to actually play mind games with you. He tries to actually trick you. How neat is that? Outside of this, Rajang has his own unique interactions with traps, as pitfall traps can only be used on him when enraged due to his crazy agility. The only time you can trick him into falling in is when he's too angry to think straight. Shock traps, however, are a slightly different story. If you use a shock trap against Rajang while he's enraged and he has his powered up red arms, he will just straight up, in the animation of being in the trap, reach down and rip the entire fucking thing off the floor, which is just one of the coolest animations I've ever seen. And I don't think I can ever actually forget the first time that I saw him do that myself. This is just such a neat way to visualize a shock trap not working against a monster, and I absolutely love it. However, it does work perfectly on him when he does not have the powerful arms.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Finally then, the thing that brings him in line with Savage Devil Joe is potentially even being a benefit to have around while fighting another monster. Each individual punch that Rajang does deals 100 damage to any monster caught in its path, including small monsters. And I feel like it can't be understated just how many punches Rajang can do in a short period of time. He can just seriously damage a monster for you while you just sit there happily watching and just enjoying the fact that he exists in the new world in the first place. All in all, Rajang and the way that he's been implemented into the new world just have me totally enamored. Every part of his translation to this game is perfect, and I love it. Alright everyone, I've been Cotton Dinosaur, and these have been all of Rajang's interactions. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. This is the brand new outro to tell you all the things that you do that we love. So let's start with something simple and say, oh, we love your eyes. When they're watching us play video games, when we make a bunch of jokes that are kinda lame, or when they gaze upon our failures as we try to kill the monsters or important news about the kingdom Animalia. Rage, Continent, Hollow, we're all here talking about the things you want to hear. So if you want to be the first to hear, like and subscribe and the bell and we'll cheer. Some of you are patrons even though we are all the noobs and you're the pros. There's nothing we can do to thank you. No, really, there's nothing we could possibly do. Goodbye.